welcome back to Farm Girl Diaries. It is going to be a big processing day today. Ugh. There are gnats, fruit flies flying everywhere. So I have the last box of peaches. I got a bushel and a half of peaches. I'll show you everything that I've done with those peaches. So I got a bushel and a half, and this is largely everything we've done. We did, one of my favorite things is spiced peaches. I'm obsessed with them. I didn't share that because that's a recipe I made up. It's not a Canon recipe. And especially if you're new to Canon, you really want to make sure you're following the specific recipe. And so that one I didn't want to share just because I'm a rebel canner. I did do 4, and I still have some left over, which is why I didn't do too many, but I did 4 quarts of just sliced peaches. And they're really good when I want to make peach cobbler. I do use my spiced peaches for peach cobbler too, but for peach cobbler, for peach pie, for anything like that. I also took all of the peach skins and pits and I made peach juice. So I have a big long line of peach juice, and that I'm excited. I already made some iced tea with it and it was delicious, super summery. I'm super excited to use it in Moscow mules, in my kombucha, in more iced teas. I'm thinking you can even put it in like icings and frostings to give yourself like a peach flavored frosting. So I have a good amount of peach juice. I'm going to make some more with the peach skins that we get today, but I'm excited for that. And then the other thing I did this week is I made salsa. And again, this was a Rebel Canon. This was kind of my own recipe. So I'm not too comfortable sharing my recipes for Canon yet because Canon is a science and you should be following recipes. But I've been at Canon long enough that, and I know the rules well enough that I feel comfortable kind of making my own recipes. So, and this salsa, it's funny, this salsa was made from largely yellow tomatoes. I planted a lot of yellow tomatoes this year somehow, and the salsa is really pretty orange. So, that's what I have been working on. Today I'm going to be finished with the last of the peaches. Oops! Sorry. Today we're going to be finished with the last of the peaches. I just have about half a half bushel, or 3/4 of a half bushel. And then in here, in this watering can, I have lots of things. I have okra, I have green beans, I have peppers. We're going to be getting all of this stuff processed and harvested, or processed and put up. With my peppers, I picked a whole bunch of I picked a whole bunch of banana peppers. We're going to be making some pickled banana peppers. So let's dive in. The okra, I just like to bring it out and I chop it up, and I've been freezing it as is, and I really like it because that way I put it in the pepper packets that I make towards the end of summer. And I also put it in I also like to just kind of freeze some okra, and in the summer or in the winter time I like to kind of fry okra and have just some fried okra as like a side one day. When I'm feeling I want something fried, sometimes okra is the way to go. And sometimes when you're in the garden and you weren't planning on harvesting, you gotta use whatever you can find. And I had the watering can in the garden, so I thought, hey, we're just gonna put everything in there. So I'm expecting a lot of my okra to be too far gone. We're gonna give it a try. And the green beans, we're just going to freeze the green beans. So when you're freezing green beans, there's 2 different ways to do it. You've got to figure out the way that works best for you. A lot of people tell you have to blanch your green beans, just like you blanch everything else. I don't blanch my green beans. I put them directly in the freezer bag. I just snip off their ends, give them a wash, and put them directly in the freezer bags. And that way when I open the bag, I just can dump it into a pot. It's all ready to go. I do canned green beans, but I will say it's not my favorite way to eat green beans. So my preferred way to eat green beans is first just frozen raw like this. If I get enough frozen bags of green beans, then I will can some, and canning them is super easy. So you have a good amount of banana peppers. I need to go pick more, so I'm going to pick all the banana peppers we have to make pickled banana peppers. And then we have a good amount of okra that we want to slice up. With the peaches, we're going to be making a Chipotle Peach BBQ sauce, which is dynamite. This is one of my favorite barbecue sauces. It's peachy and sweet, but then it has from Chipotle, it has that really nice smoky spiciness. So we're going to be making that with the rest of these peaches. And obviously I'm sharing that, so that means this is a recipe. So when I peel peaches, you can peel peaches just like with a regular peeler, but the way I like to do it is you put them in boiling water for about 2 minutes, put them in the ice bath, and from there the skins normally just peel right off. It makes peeling them super easy. So I have a pot of water going on the stove. It's not quite ready yet. So we're gonna start on everything else. When that's ready, then we will start with these guys, getting these guys peeled. While I'm waiting though, I want to go grab a basket and go out in the garden and see if I can get more green beans and some more banana peppers, and then I can kind of get them all processed all at once. I got a few more banana peppers, so we're gonna have a nice batch of pickled banana peppers. That's exciting. And I got a handful more green beans. So the amount of green beans that I have, about this many, a nice decent handful, that's gonna be perfect for one freezer size. So I'm just gonna get those washed and trimmed and then in a freezer bag. And then somehow this year, I have a rule where I plant 4 jalapeno plants. Because I love cowboy candy, and I always want to make sure I make a lot of cowboy candy. So I need at least 4 jalapeno plants. I do not know what happened this year. I have 1. I have 1 jalapeno plant, which is doing okay, but it's not doing perfect. So I have one little lonely jalapeno, which I'm going to use it probably in cooking. But luckily, I just made a whole big batch of cowboy candy with frozen jalapenos from the last year. I do want to get a decent batch of jalapenos because I want to make some jalapeno poppers. I want to make these and freeze these so over the winter, whenever I want a jalapeno popper, I can just pull some out. So I'm hoping to get enough for that. But so far, I'm not having the greatest jalapeno year. So to do our peaches, we just take whole bunch of peaches and put them into boiling water, and you do it for about 2 minutes.
Everyone's finally coming around to my way of thinking about Nick.
Right, he definitely has a cute little butt. It's almost like it's... You should bring it in someday. Hey, how's Turk doing? As a matter of fact, I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. In fact, I've begun to wonder if maybe you have done before.
I got all of my peaches peeled and diced. I just did some big dices with them, and they're gonna be pureed. Oh, maybe I need a bigger pot. It's gonna end up being pureed. So I'm just gonna put it into my pot and we're gonna add the rest of our barbecue sauce ingredients. I am gonna say I am low on ketchup, and it does call for brown sugar. I don't have brown sugar, so I'm just using regular sugar. And we're just gonna go with it. So for 3 to 6 peaches, it calls for 2 cups of ketchup. I don't even have 1 cup of ketchup. And I did about 10 peaches or so. I don't even know. So we're just like going with this to taste. But I'm doing ketchup, and then I don't feel like going to the grocery store, so I'm just gonna throw in some already made barbecue sauce, and it's gonna be okay. So I'm just throwing in some Sweet Baby Ray's. It's gonna be okay. And then we'll go to taste. So keep in mind, everything is gonna be for 3 to 6 peaches. I did a lot more. So I'm kind of just eyeballing this, but I am doubling it. I'm throwing stuff into a pot. This is what I do. But the recipe calls for 1/2 cup of brown sugar. So I'm gonna start with 1.5 cups of sugar. That's perfect. 1/4 cup apple cider vinegar. Again, I'm doubling that. And then some. Next is 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. 2 teaspoons of garlic powder. 1 teaspoon onion powder. And then 1 teaspoon of paprika. And finally, the thing that makes this so good is 1 can of Chipotle and Chipotle sauce. Okay, this is actually just Chipotle, so that's okay. It's just Chipotle sauce, sorry. But that's okay. That's gonna give us so much good flavor. So I do have some extra jars of Chipotle in case I need them. I have extra of that at least. Okay, so now we just want to put this on the stove and we want to cook those peaches. Once the peaches are nice and soft, I will immersion blend this, get this nice and smooth, and then let it sit on the stove and thicken up. Next, I'm gonna get all of my peppers washed and diced in preparation for the banana peppers. And I'm gonna get the green beans washed, trim off their ends, put them in a freezer bag, and then get these guys washed and sliced up and put these guys in a freezer bag.
You're not messing with me, right?
No, but I'd like to.
Even though my wife is already asleep, I'd gently wake her, look her in the eyes, and then I'd passive-aggressively torture her until she packed a bag and went to her mom's place for the week. That help?
That it's the scrubs, right? Because in jeans, my butt is a force to be reckoned with.
Hey, we were just looking for you.
Nick, touch my butt, please.
Oh, danger. Oh.
Something left the back of my hand. Of course I'm gonna have to see her again.
So what, this is the part where all of a sudden it's my fault?
Turk, if you could have seen the look on her face. I'm telling you, if I think about real emotional level.
Hey, Turk, I'm really sorry about the whole poster thing. It was racially insensitive of me. I should have been more aware of your feeling before I went ahead and spoke for you.
It's okay, your intentions were good, and there's never been an issue of race between us. Since the day I met you, you've been nothing but...
You don't have to answer to me. You don't have to answer to Kelso. You don't even have to answer to your patients, for God's sake. You only have to answer to one guy, newbie, and that's you.
Really big one for you.
Oh, yeah.
That's really good. It's a little bit spicy from the Chipotle's. I did add a second jar of Chipotle sauce, a little bit more Worcestershire, and a little bit more sugar. I think it tastes really, really good. So this is gonna get jarred up. I'm gonna let it sit for just a few minutes while I focus on getting the pickling liquid for my banana pickles ready. I'm gonna start with 2 cups of water. The recipe also calls for horseradish. I actually hate horseradish. I will not be adding that. But if you want to, the recipe calls for 1.5 teaspoons of prepared horseradish to 3 quarts of peppers. So I'm gonna do, that's a little heavy. 2 cups. 3 tablespoons of sugar. 2 cloves of garlic. I don't use fresh cloves a lot, so I'm just going to use my minced garlic. So for 2 cloves, I just use 2 little spoonfuls. That's a lot. There we go. And then 1.5 quarts of vinegar. So I need 1.5 quarts. So now we're going to bring this to a boil. Once it's boiling, we're going to reduce the heat to a simmer and let it simmer for 15 minutes. To each quart, I'm going to add 1/4 cup of pickling salt. And if you want, you can add pickle crisp to this, but I think I'm okay. And then if you use cloves of garlic, you can take those cloves of garlic out. You want to make sure you pack your banana peppers in here really well, because when you process them, when you can them, the air will condense, and if you don't pack them in really well, they will float and you'll have a lot of leftover space. So I'm hoping I got these packed really well. I put them all in there, press them down really well. You can use what you use for sauerkraut, like a masher. I just used the back of my wooden cooking utensil to press it down. And then I'm just gonna fill it and do it again. Press it down again. Make sure all of that water, well, all the vinegar mixture is in all the little air pockets. So these guys I'm gonna process for 25 minutes. And the barbecue sauce, I couldn't find like an actual time for the barbecue sauce. For a tomato barbecue sauce, Ball recommends 15 minutes. Because this is peaches, I just want to be on the safe side. So I'm actually going to process the barbecue sauce for 40 minutes. So I'm going to put these guys in. After 25 minutes, I will get these guys out and I'll let the barbecue sauce continue. We're just going to water bath can these then. Throw some lids on top. They look really pretty. I think they look really pretty. So as soon as my water bath canner gets to boiling, I'll add these. I did get 4 quarts of the peach barbecue sauce and 1/2 pint. I would have preferred to do the barbecue sauce in pints. That's what I did last year. But I didn't have enough pints, unfortunately. So that's fine. I can do it in the quarts. No problem. But I did get 5 quarts and 1/2 pint. So I think that's a pretty successful cannon day. So get these guys in the canner and then I'm gonna work on my green beans and my okra. see me check in to see whether the okra is overripe or not. I put my knife in the middle of the okra, and if my knife doesn't easily slice through the okra, then my okra is overripe. It is no longer edible, so it needs to be composted. You can see this okra I'm slicing very easily with no problem, so that means it is perfect, and that's the okra we want to consume. Okay, we're going to do one more thing for today before we call it quits, and we're going to make a baked oatmeal. This is one of my favorite things to have for a work breakfast. It just is super easy to make, and then it makes my breakfast in the morning before work. I actually take it to work and eat it at work, but it makes it super easy to get a nice healthy-ish but filling breakfast in my belly. So we're starting with 3 cups of oats. And I found the brown sugar. After I needed the brown sugar, I found the brown sugar. So I need 1 cup of brown sugar. Okay, 1 cup. Two teaspoons of cinnamon is next. I just eyeball. 2 teaspoons of baking powder. This is a half teaspoon, so I'm just going to do it 4 times. I need to fill my salt bowl, so I'm just going to shake some in there. Oops, I got some. 2 eggs, 1 cup melted butter, 1 cup of milk, and then half a cup of melted butter. Okay, and then just combine it all together. The thing I love about baked oatmeal is you can do so many different flavors. You can leave it just like this. You could add, I like to add my peach pie or my spiced peaches to it. Today we're going to add some of my fried apple mix to it. You can add whatever you want to add. Some people like to add blueberries, blackberries, jams, and each one is delicious. I'm gonna bake this oatmeal at 350 for about 40 minutes. Because I added too many apples and so much of the sauce on top, mine's gonna take a little bit longer. Mine will probably take an hour and 10 minutes. So just keep an eye on it. You want the whole thing to be nice and golden brown and cooked the whole way through. Okay, well, it was a long but a very successful day. We got our 4 quarts and a half pint of our peach barbecue sauce made and canned. We got 3 jars of banana pickles. We got a jar of green bean, or a bag of green beans, a bag of okra, and then we made a delicious apple pie baked oatmeal, and it smells so good. I I'm exhausted though. But I feel like for one day this is pretty good. And for the weekend, for the past 4 days, I've canned a lot of things. Past 4 days, I have canned 60 items or 60 jars. That's a lot of canning in 4 days. So I'm gonna take that as a win. And I'm about to go grab a book and go sit on the front porch and read for the rest of the evening because I think I've earned a little bit of a break. Thank you guys for joining me, and I'll see you guys on the next video.